Today we're going to count down the top 5 lenses for the Canon 80D. I'm giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter is 1. Be subscribed to my channel, 2. Like this video, 3. Turn on post notifications, and 4. Leave a comment down below telling me which lens of these 5 is your favorite and why. Alright, starting off with number 5 is the Canon EFS 24mm f2.8. So this is often referred to as the pancake lens because it is so compact, and for that reason, that is why it made it on this list of the top 5. This lens is really great if you're on the go and don't have much space in your camera bag, but you want to get a nice prime in there that has a pretty shallow depth of field. You're going to really get that with this 24 2.8. Here's some footage that I've shot with this guy. I haven't done too much work with this guy because space usually is not an issue for me. I can bring those larger lenses. So this pancake design hasn't really benefited me too much, but if you're out like on the street shooting somewhere, or if you're carrying a camera all day long and you don't want to get one of these heavy lenses, this is a great lens. Adding on to that, if you're putting this on a 3-axis gimbal like the Ronin, you definitely want to have a lighter lens. Something like this would be absolutely perfect because then you're not going to wear out your battery and your motors by carrying a heavy lens. Autofocus on this guy is pretty darn good. It is a bit noisy at times, so you might want to consider having an off-camera microphone if that's going to be an issue for you. Otherwise, manual focus works just as well. Build quality is pretty decent. I haven't had any issues with it, but the basic instruction is made out of plastic. All of the mounts here though are metal, which is all good. I think that basically covers it for the 24 2.8. You should note that if you're using the 80D with any of these lenses, you're actually going to get a 1.6 times crop because it is a crop sensor camera. All of these numbers are for full frame, so just keep that in consideration if you think that's important to you. Moving on to number 4, this is one of my favorites. It's the EF50 1.4. I've done a ton of work with this guy because you get that super nice out of focus background because it is a 1.4. I've actually done probably more photography with this guy, but it's just as good for video. This is a little bit expensive, so if that's out of your price range, I'd definitely take a look at the 50 1.8. That one pairs super great with the 80D, and it's only somewhere around $100. This one's about $350, so that would be a great first prime lens if you haven't gotten out of your kit lens yet. Build quality on this is mostly metal. Autofocus is super fast and pretty quiet, definitely quieter than the 24. Build quality is slightly better than the 24. I think that's about it for this guy. Coming in at number 3, I actually don't have it on the table because I'm using it to film this video. It's the EFS 10-18 4.5 to 5.6 aperture image stabilized STM lens. So that's a mouthful, but it is a really solid lens. Like I said before with the 24, this is great for putting on a gimbal because it is so light. This one is also great because it's also super light because it's made out of kind of plasticky materials, but it is super wide, which makes your stabilized shots look even more cool. Here's some test footage that I've taken with this lens on the 80D with my DJI Ronin M. I think it's turned out super great. It's also nice that this lens has that extra layer of image stabilization because the Ronin does a really good job, but this lens just takes it to the next level, so it is absolutely perfectly smooth. Autofocus on this guy is dead silent. Even if you put your ear right up next to it, you can't even hear the motors working at all, which is awesome for video. As I said before, the build quality is mostly plastic, which makes it light, which is good, but also that means it's not quite as durable. I have not had any issues. I've also been very careful with it. You do get kind of a lot of distortion at 10 millimeters, but since you're going to be using this on a 1.6 times crop camera, that's not a super big deal, but just bear in mind that your edges are not going to be very straight. If you have any straight buildings or lines or anything, those are going to get slightly fisheyed. That's just what happens when you have a super wide angle lens. Alright, moving on to number 2. This beauty right here happens to be the 18 to 135. Now you may say, ooh, that's a kit lens. That must not be very good. Well, you're wrong. So even though I have all these nice prime lenses, I still use this more than any other lens because it's just so versatile, because it's a monster zoom. It can do wide, it can do medium, it can do telephoto. What can't it do? The answer is nothing. So I took this on my last adventure across Cuba, and it never left my 80D. Here is just a tiny snippet of what I filmed during my 3 weeks down there. It was truly incredible. If you'd like to see more, I actually made a full documentary, and that's posted on my personal channel. You can find a link to that in the description below.
El paquete en sí es una cosa que tiene tanta información que, no sé, ya es como una parte de la sociedad.
So this monster zoom truly is a monster. And as for build quality, well, it still looks brand new. Alright, we've made it to numero uno, and that is the Sigma 18-35 1.8. This is my most recent lens pickup, and it's probably one of the best. I was a little concerned since this is like $700 or $800. This is actually kind of an older lens, so you can get some marked down prices. I actually got this refurbished, and it looks like it's brand new. So for some test footage of this guy, basically all of the B-roll that I've shot on this channel of the products that we've been reviewing here, that was all shot with this guy because it's got that nice 1.8 aperture, and it's also nice and wide instead of like the 50, which I used to use, which is really tight. This is nice and wide because I don't have that much space in the studio, so it's nice and wide where I can get up close to stuff and still get a lot. Now the one thing that this has basically over every other lens that I own is the sharpness. This is by far the sharpest lens that I own. The amount of detail that you get with this guy is just phenomenal. If you're not watching this in 1080, I would suggest you bump that up so you can see this full beauty. And if you have a display that's higher than 1080, you'll see that it's not super sharp, and that's because the 80D is limited by it only goes to 1080. Super quick tangent on what we're talking about right here. I just learned that Apple, in their Apple stores, will be selling, I think it's the Red Raven, which shoots 4K, and it's like a package where you get everything to start shooting with a Red, which, as you know, Red cameras are top of the line cinema cameras. So that package that you get comes with one lens. Guess what that one lens is? The Sigma 18-35 1.8 Art. So that fact kind of just speaks for itself. Build quality, it's completely metal. All the rubber rings feel nice and smooth and are going to last you a very long time. As always, the links to these 5 lenses and every other single piece of gear that I own is in the description below. Thank you for watching, happy filmmaking, and as always, don't forget to keep it pro.